Sephiroth.
I find this a little bit interesting because while I can't even pronounce it, Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
Seth.
PH.
Seth.
Like Seraphim or Sephira.
Sephiroth.
Sephiroth. Wake up, everybody. Today is Thursday, December 10th, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I'm one of your hosts, Big Papa, joined by my co-host, Jason Wright. If you decide you like us, but you'd rather be watching the Game Awards, you can find us at neverfreetoplay.com, patreon.com/neverfreetoplay, or on all the other social media where we are Never Free to Play. If you have comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. Jason, how you doing?
I am doing pretty well, my friend. It's we're, as the YouTube viewers can see, finally back in my house. Woo! Not quite as nice scenery behind me as the Airbnb, but nonetheless, I'm home and I have sound treatment, so I'm happy. Greg, if I don't sound like Joe Rogan on this next mix, you might be fired. How is it going over in your town, Daddy-O?
Daddy's doing good. I wish I was watching the Game Awards though. We were gonna schedule till tomorrow, and then it turned out that wasn't gonna work, so we had to do it anyway. And I'm missing all the fun announcements. I should be there with the Easy Allies. I should be listening with them, listening to their commentary.
I wish we were savvy enough to live stream, but I just don't know that we could have pulled it off tonight. I think we could potentially in the future, but. Some of that's going to be up to the bandwidth down at Dada's house in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. Papa needs better internet, unfortunately. Right now, I've only got like 80 down and 2 up if I'm lucky sometimes. It gets really bad.
But you're also hardwired now, so that's an improvement.
No, I've always been hardwired. My computer's always been hardwired.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said you broke down and bought an Ethernet cable or something.
For my PS4.
Oh.
So I could cheat the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been my first week back at work, and I have so much junk piled up on my desk. It's insane. I was supposed to get an intern to help me out with like a very menial task that I do. That's like relatively time consuming, but super easy. And that didn't happen, so I have 4 months of this very, very, just think of it as a TPS report on my desk.
I don't understand. How did that not get done while you were still working the whole time, though?
Yeah, but okay, it's a physical record that I have to review and sign on.
But how could it have gone that long without being done? How important can it be if it can just sit on your desk for months?
I ask myself the same question.
I hate your job so much. I hate my job sometimes, and then you talk about yours, and I'm like, nah, mine's awesome.
Enough of hating our jobs. Let's get into hating video games. Like, sub, follow. It's not working. No matter how many times I say it here in the housekeeping, it's not working. But if you've made it this far, for the love of God, press that subscribe button so I can feel joy in my life. Catch us at Never Free to Play on Twitter.
He needs it. He needs that joy.
I need it. Come on. We haven't had like a like or a follow or a sub. I mean, in a long time, a really, really long time.
Very.
It's getting to poor Dada's heart down there.
All right.
I'm done. The FL.
I'm done with this Dada thing. It's not as easy as I thought it'd be.
No. And there's also not as many words for dad as I thought there were.
All right, let's get into some news.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have no shout-outs or corrections, so let's get rolling.
Cyberpunk is out as of last night, as of pretty early last night, apparently, and it's a buggy, wonderful, naked mess. And I say naked, I mean quite literally, because we've got genitalia just showing through pants and breasts popping through shirts.
I got to tell you, when I saw those glitches, I was really hoping maybe I get one of those glitches because that is exciting.
Wouldn't it be a kicker? Like, you know, you hear about bugs a lot, and for the most part, you don't experience them because you're only one of millions. But like the way they talk about these, like I'm going to be disappointed if I don't see some funny bugs at this point.
I'm going to feel very left out. Tyler was playing. He played about an hour earlier today. He doesn't really like this type of game, but he didn't pay for it, so he figured, let's see what all the fuss is about.
Right.
The bugs he reported to me, he got the one where your character and other characters switch between like male and female voices just randomly.
Oh my gosh, that's like the worst one I've heard yet.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So
I've read other people have it too, so.
All right, so Jason, how do you feel about these bugs? Mr. Cyberpunk himself, Mr. 2077, Keanu Reeves, right? How do you feel about the mess that is this game?
It was never going to live up to people's expectations, especially with the delay. And I just feel like this is how The Witcher 3 launched too, and it was fixed in a week. Mm-hmm. So my hype has not died down. I know people want to be very critical of this game, and I think part of it is for clicks because there's been so much praise and hype around this game that I feel like, what are the bad things? Oh, I'm going to go find the bad reviews and click on those headlines. So you get headlines from Polygon like Cyberpunk's dad rock, not new wave. And then the first 6 paragraphs are like the world, evaluating the worldview and the politics of the game, which maybe that's for some people. But you can't argue with numbers. And the fact is that on Metacritic, it has a 90. And on Steam reviews, it's still mostly positive.
It blows my mind.
It almost broke. It's a top 5 single player launch of all time on Steam, with having over 1 million concurrent players. And to put that in perspective, I'm going to pull up the list of the other games that are on that list. These are all time peak concurrent player counts. So including multiplayer games. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, 3.2 million at peak, Counter-Strike 1.3, Dota 1.28, and Cyberpunk sitting at 1 million. So, I mean, that's what my hype has not died. Like, I feel like my expectations are calibrated, and I'm not expecting, like, the best game ever. I'm expecting something akin to The Witcher 3 in a different setting, and with Keanu Reeves. And if I get that, then I will be happy.
I don't know, man. It's not about the game to me. It's not about the quality of the game. Sans bugs. It's about the fact that there are that many. Like, I refuse to believe that any other game would get the benefit of the doubt. And you say they'll fix it in a week, and maybe they will, and that's nice, but this is unacceptable. This is a joke, and they should feel bad. They should be ashamed of themselves that they released it like this, and that they couldn't get their act together even after finally releasing it after 7 delays. It's like, I don't know. I don't really care, but I don't know. I feel hypocrisy is happening just a smidge. Just a smidge.
I could definitely see that. I think we're viewing it through 2 different lenses because, I mean, I agree with you in a sense
that your sound isn't like just so, and you throw a hissy fit and we waste 40 minutes trying to fix it, and you're going to tell me it's cool that there's like bugs just spilling out of this game?
I don't know what to tell you. It just doesn't make me any less excited. It doesn't make me any less excited to play it. I want to play it. I want to experience the bugs. I hope I get some cool bugs. I'd love to walk around with my ding dong out. That'd be awesome.
There's something wrong with us, man. Something wrong with gamers. We're broken. And ding dong comment aside, we're still pretty messed up. We love the abuse. We love it.
So are you going to play this at all? Like,
I am. I probably won't play it till after I get back from vacation. Because I just won't have the time between now and Saturday morning. But yeah, I'm absolutely gonna play it. Like you said, just like Tyler, it's not my cup of tea necessarily, but it's also $0.00, and I ain't paying you.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Tyler for using my 1 hour of trial that now I can't get a refund even if I hate it. So thanks, Tyler. You jerk.
I thought it was 2 hours.
Oh, if it is, then maybe I'm in business. I'm
just going to run it. I'm going to turn it on and then go to bed. So it'll say like 14 hours by the time you...
Thanks, guys.
So congratulations, CD Projekt Red. I hope the crunch was worth it. Your game is very good, apparently, except for when it isn't. Time will tell. IGN bought Humble Bundle 3 years ago. But this is news to me. So I put it on the news docket.
I love that. Yeah. I love how close I was to that.
You were.
3 years numbers.
Jason was like, "Oh, it happened like 3 years ago," and I looked it up, and it was almost 3 years to like the day, well, to the month/day. But he was off by 2 months, so I made sure he felt stupid about it.
Yeah, and now I feel especially stupid.
But no, that's not actual news. But it's just interesting to me. I don't know why IGN would buy Humble Bundle.
Yeah, there was this whole thing about like, is this going to impact? Because they had something about IGN releasing games on Humble Bundle, and is it going to impact the way they do their reviews? Is it going to impact their impartialness and yada yada? I
mean, if it did, that means that they've already they have a sales division and they have ad space on their websites, and this potential conflict of interest already exists, and so adding this on doesn't make that more tempting. It either means that they continue their integrity as is, or they're already corrupt and, selling out to the highest bidder. But it wouldn't be new, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
But that's not news, so we'll move on. We do have some sad Nintendo news, because this is the only kind of Nintendo news we have. Nintendo is taking down music tracks off of YouTube for their games. So, like, if someone throws up Ocarina of Time or Mario 64, it seems to be mostly just their main IP kind of things and their more popular games, but people put those tracks up online, just the music, and it's well within their rights. But this isn't really about a legality thing. I just think it's scummy, and I don't care. And and the reason they do it is because it's not on Spotify. Put your stupid music on Spotify. Put it on the other streaming services.
It makes no sense. And I read into this a little bit more. It seems to be targeted primarily in Japan.
Interesting.
And it seems to be mostly, like you said, the main. Right? Yeah. No, I don't know. So they've had a lot of takedowns, and it isn't. To be clear, it's not like if you were doing a review of Mario and the music's playing in the background. It's if you just straight up upload the music, as if it were a soundtrack. So
yeah, because they specifically went out of their way to let people use music in content creation videos, like whether that was reviews or critiques or just podcasty kind of things. They specifically said, okay, yeah, you can use the music in the background as long as it's like. So again, people are technically breaking the rules, but it's like, where is this music available outside of the game itself? And quick cuts. Like, can you go find this music just on at least on iTunes? Maybe not. I don't know. But like, that's not come on. Just join the world and join the times, right? Nintendo, please.
It doesn't make sense why they have to be like dragged kicking and screaming into every like new thing that they encounter. And King K made this point. I mean, they just don't make this content available. I was watching King K's review of Super Mario 3D World Collection or whatever it was. And the one thing he mentioned was like, when other companies do these, not only do they sell for less than like $60, but they also typically will include like digital versions of art books, digital art of like, video. Yeah, it was a really good video. But he also mentioned like soundtracks are typically in these collections, and that's not something Nintendo really
technically
does.
That's the only thing that they put in there was the soundtracks for those games.
Yeah, but can you listen to the songs, or is it just on the menu screen?
Yes, you can like pick the songs. Like you can go out of your way to pick the songs, but you have to play it on your Switch, which would be the most user unfriendly way to go about listening to those songs. So it's fine. I can still go listen to really good, like, not to knock Nintendo music, but when I think of great video game music, it's usually not Nintendo. Memorable, maybe. Like, my childhood's, like, do 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 do.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna forget everything in my life as a demented 95-year-old man, but I'll still be humming that while I pee or something. It's good, but it's not great. So it's at the end of the day, it's like, get over yourself, Nintendo.
I totally agree. In fact, it was funny. I was playing Smash Bros with my son yesterday, and he didn't know you could press a button to skip the intro, so we were just listening to the intro music, and it was like legitimately kind of cringy.
Oh, the Smash song especially is not, especially with the lyrics, is not good.
That's the one that we were listening to with the lyrics, and I was like, ugh, because
it's hokey. It's like it's on purpose because it's like that the whole story part of Smash Ultimate it's just whatever. I actually do hate that. I don't like it at all. I even the just the melody and like the non-lyrical version, like when I'm sitting on the main menu screen after I've gone through the intro, I do not like that song.
It's not good. It's not inspiring.
The original's great, and then the Melee one's great, and I don't remember the Brawl one very well. I never played the Wii U version, but I do not like the ultimate main theme to Smash. It's not good. Fight me. Speaking of Smash, just now, well, not just now, but today at the Game Awards, they announced their new Smash Fighter, the next one that'll be available, at least, or the most recent one that's going to be available, and it is Sephiroth of Final Fantasy VII fame. Sephiroth!
I find this a little bit interesting because you mentioned on our Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast that like in the original game you don't even really see him that much, like at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned in the remake you see him quite a bit. So I just found it a little bit interesting that they're like, if I was going to pick a token person from Final Fantasy VII, and obviously Cloud's already in there, I don't know that it would be this character. But
he definitely would be, because the way that the story is structured, like you just explained, only affects you the first time through. At which point he becomes utterly iconic to the series. Like like
gotcha.
You can't leave. He doesn't leave your mind after that. He's just always there. I mean, like, it's cool. I saw the video. It was actually pretty underwhelming. Usually they do really cool, really fun intro videos to these characters. Like if you think back to the way that they introduced King K. Rool, and they introduced Banjo-Kazooie, and they introduced even Terry from Final Fight. I think it was Final Fight. No. King of Fighter? I don't know my fighting games very well. Anyway, they're always really high. The production quality is already really high and really well done. This one was kind of like, and then it's just like, I don't know. Cloud always felt like a weird choice to me. Sephiroth makes more sense only in the sense that Cloud is in the game already. But aside from that, it's like, this game is not. It's not a game that people associate with Nintendo. Never has, never will be, because it didn't come out on the 64, and it only just came to Switch like last year or the year before last. There are just
but the Final Fantasy franchise you would maybe associate with Nintendo if you're
and I would love for them to do some wacky like 8-bit style like original Final Fantasy, the main four classes like they do like with Pokemon Trainer or something. That would be amazing and very similar or very reminiscent of what Smash was, back in the day, but they're just never going to do that.
Sure.
So, whatever. Get your big long sword, white hair, anime boy action on.
What's wrong with Cloud? I don't understand. I don't understand why you said he's an odd choice.
Because he's an odd choice for me personally. Like I would not have picked Cloud amongst all the characters that I have access to that makes sense for something to Smash. Smash to me is first and foremost a representation of Nintendo's legacy, followed then closely by video games in general, but specifically games that have actually appeared on the console. And up until Cloud, that was true. Because when Cloud came out on the Wii U, there was no Final Fantasy VII on any Nintendo console. It's just where they're just shoving him in here. And now the door is wide open. Why don't you put Goku in? Because you just kind of pooped over everything, and I just don't care anymore. I don't know. He doesn't fit. Didn't like it.
And that's Karch's gaming gripe of the week.
Yep. Yep.
All right, that's enough of the news. Let's get into what we wish we were playing. Karch, you start.
I wish I was playing the music to my funeral. Because I'm tired.
Tell me more, my friend.
It's been a long week. It's been a long couple
that it
weeks.
Has.
And I'm just kind of grumpy. And I want my vacation to be here now. I don't know. I wish I was playing everything. I wish I was playing Cyberpunk. I wish I was playing more Hyrule Warriors. I wish I was playing the spoons on the knee.
That's going to be Karch's funeral music, Spoons on the Knee.
Spoons on the Knee.
Boom,
That's a good
boom.
song title. But yeah, I mean, nothing really comes to mind. My mind's a little blank right now. I'm also coming off of finishing my book last weekend, which was awesome. I might do a little bit more reading on vacation, a little less video gaming. We'll see. So, what about you, Jason? What do you wish you were playing?
There's only one thing I wish I was playing, and that is Cyberpunk 2077. I bought it last night. I preloaded it. Actually, it's kind of odd because I thought the release date was December 10th and that we'd have to wait until midnight to unlock it, but it appears that it unlocked early on purpose or something. I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm going crazy because I Googled around for that and I couldn't find anybody who was like, oh yeah, it unlocked early. So maybe I just don't understand time zones, but at any rate, didn't have time to play it last night because I was playing with Tyler, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Not going to have time to play it tonight because of the podcast. Tomorrow is date night. Saturday, we're celebrating my dad's birthday. Sunday, we're seeing Lauren's parents. Monday, it is back to work. So we'll see. I won't get a chance to play it probably before Monday.
Chock full that schedule.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But our parents, we're back, and they've finally been able to isolate for long enough and get flu shots and COVID tests, and so we can actually see each other unmasked, which we may not get to do over Christmas because of our siblings. So we're taking this opportunity.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. What have you been playing?
Okay, what have I been playing? Not a lot this week. It's been crazy busy. We've been getting moved back into our house and unpacking and doing all this stuff. So it's been crazy at work. Luke and I have been playing Smash Bros. Every single night, and he loves it. It's amazing.
It's a great game.
Yeah, it is a great game, and I know I've shown it to him before, but obviously he wasn't like into games at the time as much as he is now. And now he knows a lot of these characters. Like, he knows Link because we've played Zelda. He knows Mario. So it's really neat to see him just light up and be like, oh, I want to be this guy, and who should I be next? And we're trying to find his main. So far, what I'm doing is I'm doing 3 stock. I'm letting him pick the stage, but I have turned off the, what do you call it when the stages move?
Hazards?
No, there's a thing, a morph.
Morph,
when the stages morph. Right. Yeah. So I've turned off morph and like that sort of thing, so it's a little easier for him. And I put him on 3 stock versus a level 1 CPU. He has wins with Link, Bowser, and Kirby. He is really bad with any character that like jumps really far because he just launches himself off, or anything that has like an over B attack that is like a fire kick or something like that you can go off the stage. Yeah, like a dash. Yeah. So he's lost with Little Mac. He's lost with Bayonetta. He's lost with Samus.
Not Samus.
I know. She jumps so far when she jumps.
She's a pretty good jumper. She's a good character.
Yeah. But he hasn't figured out how to do the recovery move yet. I'm working on that. We're just starting with how do you hit? How do you not fall off the stage? And he's got an affinity for blue guys. So he likes Mega Man and he likes Sonic. So, but he's not played with the same character twice.
Interesting.
Yeah, he wants to do a new one every time.
Well, there's 100 plus?
I know, yeah. So he's got his choice. Although, what I'm finding is I never did unlock all the characters, so.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah, we suck. What about you, Karch? What have you been playing?
Some guy, or I really don't know why, but I had KOTOR on the brain. And so I just moseyed on over to the Play Store and I downloaded KOTOR for my phone because it was on sale, funnily enough, from $10 down to $5. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll get that.
What a bargain.
What?
I said, what a bargain.
What a bargain, exactly. Classic game. If you've never played it, it's Knights of the Old Republic. It is a D&D inspired Star Wars game. Turn-based-esque. You can definitely stop combat at any point. Like, you just pause it. But it is pretty active during. Like, it'll just kind of auto-attack, but at any point you can stop and select the attacks you want to do in a particular order or assign the same attacks for your party. It's a really basic version of that. What I'm describing, we've seen far more complicated and more advanced versions of that in video games since then, but this came out back on the Xbox, the OG Xbox.
2003. I just looked it up.
And it was good back then. It's good now. Touch controls are really good. I wish it was a little. Let's see. I guess I wish I had more screen space. I wish the resolution were higher, or that everything was a little smaller because my fat finger kind of gets in the way sometimes. Because what you have to do to run, is you press and then you kind of slide up to run forward, basically. But then you have to hold it there. And there is a way where you can just like do that and they'll auto run. But I guarantee if I turn that on, I'm going to be running way more often than I want to. And I'll probably get myself into trouble. But there is just, like I said, there's a classicness to it. It's just really fun to jump into for like, this got to be like the 6th or 7th time I've started it at least. I've only ever beaten it twice. I think I did a light run and an evil run. Gonna be a good boy this time. Technically a girl. Picked a scoundrel, which is kind of like your skill monkey, like your rogue class. They've got sneak attack and all that stuff. Karth's an a-hole. He's a misogynistic jerk, except they think that it's cute and clever because they kind of make all the responses to his misogyny. Like, you can tell, like, the character is basically replying, because he's one of the romance options for women. The character is clearly replying in a way that's like your classic romantic comedy where, like, oh, I hate him, except I really love him because he hates me. And so it's like, I'm like, I don't like this role model. This is not good. But aside from that, it's good.
Cancel it. Cancel KOTOR.
Cancel KOTOR.
NFTP cancels
17
KOTOR.
years in the future.
Right.
But I'm gonna keep playing. It's fun. It works like the autosave. Just like I just press a little. There's a save icon on the top right. I press it. Boom. Autosaves, or not autosave, but the quick save, and it autosaves frequently. And then on top of that, like if a work text comes in, I can just go switch to that, and then I'll open up KOTOR hours later, and it's just exactly where I left it.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. What is, because you seem like to do this often where you do kind of gravitate toward the touch controls versus like getting a controller mount and link and, you know, hooking up your 8-bit or whatever. What do you feel is the advantage of the touch controls, or what do you like about them that you use them versus a controller?
In this case, there's no other option. This particular version was designed for mobile, and so it has touch controls and only touch controls, and it wasn't available on Game Pass or anything. I mean, at that point, it's just not a take it or leave it. It's a case by case situation. Sometimes, like I'm finding I like my 8-bit for like more modern games less and less. It very much then depends on the game that I'm playing and if it needs too much stick stuff, or rather too much stick stuff and shoulder button stuff. Like I can't do all of that at the same time. Like I was playing, I forgot. I was playing something else. I played the opening section of Nier Automata, or Nier Automata. I don't know how people say it. I like Automata because it sounds cool.
I do too.
But unfortunately, you have to beat the entire opening section on one life, or you have to start over. And I did die during a boss fight, so I had to start over. But I actually really liked what I played of it so far, so I'm definitely going to get back to that. Maybe on my vacation, maybe after. We'll see. But I'm not done with it yet. But I did play that on Game Pass, and I did play with my 8-bit hooked to my thing.
Was it Game Pass or xCloud?
They're calling it the same thing, but yes, I streamed it to my phone via the Game Pass.
But you weren't streaming it from your PC, you were streaming it from xCloud or Project
X. This was the xCloud thing, and it worked like a charm. There was only one hiccup, unfortunately, during a cutscene, and then a couple other smaller ones where somebody would be talking, but it's pretty good about catching, like, you don't lose, except for the cutscene, because it's probably unavoidable, but like when I was just running around, like the dialogue would appear in the subtitles, but they didn't say it for maybe almost like 30, 40 seconds, but he did eventually say it. So like the lag was there, but it like kind of caught up with itself. And at no point did I have any major like gameplay hitches, which was cool.
Sweet.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with your question, like touch versus not touch. Because sometimes touch just means controls on a screen rather than like a native touch. Like I was playing Slay the Spire a few weeks ago with touch controls via the Game Pass streaming, but it was just Xbox buttons on my phone screen. And so that's my least favorite thing, obviously.
Same.
Now I'm trying to emulate a physical controller on my phone, and that's stupid.
Right, not to mention your hands are blocking.
Yeah, exactly. Like now I've got my thumbs and maybe a couple other fingers just kind of in the way, and depending on the game, that makes it impossible. I need a better, like if I'm going to play with a controller on my phone, I need a better, like whatever you call it, like holder. The thing that hooks to the controller and holds the phone. Like I need a bigger one. The one for the 8-bit is like, my phone's just too big and it's not far enough away from the controller. And it does the job well, but just, I don't know. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. I just don't like it. The weight and the balance is off. It is uncomfortable.
Okay. I don't know why I said that.
He's just jealous, ladies and gentlemen, because he can't stream games to his stupid iPhone.
I can.
What happened to that Luna thing? Weren't you going to play Luna?
I did play Luna. Remember, I played Control on it, and it was too slow in the Airbnb.
So you're home now, so you don't have that excuse anymore.
Right. Well, I canceled my subscription. I'm not gonna subscribe to it. So that's my new excuse.
Oh my gosh. Well, that came in.
Well,
I
played one other game that I want to talk about. I played Hunt Showdown, and I know I've talked about this before, but I actually like the first few times Tyler showed me this game. I played this game with Tyler. The first couple times he showed me this game, I didn't fully understand it. I mean, I did, but I didn't, because it's a little confusing that you get a hunter and it's almost like a little bit like a roguelike in that you go in and once that character dies, he's dead, but you have some permanent upgrades that do stay, which is basically your permanent upgrades are what abilities you unlock for your hunter. But then your hunter separately has a level. And every time you go in, basically what you're trying to do is pick up clues you're in this kind of open environment, very desolate, with some zombies walking around, with some buildings, a lot of vegetation. It's daytime. And what you're trying to do is find 3 clues, which you have like a dark vision type of thing, like a predator mode. And you find the 3 clues, and once you get the clues, you can go banish the demon. And once you banish the demon, which involves basically a boss fight, you kill the demon, you pick up the bounty, and then you have to escape the map. But the catch is there's like 4 other teams trying to do the same thing. And it's all the same demon.
Mm-hmm.
And at any rate, and then once you get one, let's say there's 2 demons per map, you can either say, okay, I've got mine, I'm leaving it, so my hunter doesn't die and I don't lose like all my good upgrades and stuff. Or you can stay in and try to go get the other one, be that, encountering another team and trying to take them down or whatever it is. So last night, for the first time, Tyler and I actually won in 2 separate matches. We won 2 bounties and we escaped with them.
Cool.
So, and I got my first kills in that game ever.
Like a player kill?
Yeah, player kill.
Cool.
So I'm like finally starting to get the hang of it. And that's like a really good feeling when you take somebody down online in a game that's been out for so long that you don't play that often.
Yeah, I'll have to look up a video, because even since you talked about it, I've never really followed up on it. So like you talked about it at length, and I think, you've probably described it as well as you can, but at the same time, I'm still like, what? I'm having a hard time just like seeing this game in my head.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say I took a while to get the hang of it, but now I understand the gameplay loop now. And it makes more sense to me. But it is one of those things where I feel like you do kind of have to lay eyes on it to fully grasp the loop. But at any rate, have you been playing anything else?
Just a little bit. I had this restart Hyrule Warriors. I did the demo, and the progress carries over, but unfortunately that was on my profile and not Sean's profile. And Sean bought the game and generously gifted it to us, so we didn't have to pay him back or anything. But that means I had to do the 45-ish minutes of the first 2 missions again. But I'm ready to jump back into that. Again, I got vacation coming up, so we'll see. The world's going to be my oyster as far as what I play between the hours of 9 and 12 for those next 7 days.
Sweet.
So hopefully some of that. And then Baldur's Gate 3, I didn't have an issue starting over, so because I wasn't in love with my character. That was more of a test run anyway, see how the game plays and so forth. Man, I'm having a hard time talking today. Anyway, I called an audible. I explained last week what I was going to do with my psychopathic cleric. Instead, I made a Gith rogue named Grinch. And I made him look like the Grinch. Gave him nice green skin. He looks like Jim Carrey, but thin, because you can't make him look like chunky and stuff. And he's going to be simping for Lae'zel, however you say her name, that really mean Gith lady. She is so mean.
She's so
mean. And my character loves it. He's like, stomp on me, Lae'zel. Stomp on me.
That's why I was so happy when we played that file together. We just killed her. We just let her die away. Or whatever we did. Yeah.
We killed those. We killed the people who had caught her.
Yes.
And we killed her too. But yeah, like the second you run into her, and like things are I played a halfling the first time, and then we played what did we pick? A dwarf?
Yes.
So we picked the dwarf. Playing
A
as a
fighter
Gith,
dwarf.
like there's a character, a potential party member that you meet early on, and she's not very kind, but I had no problem recruiting her on my first character. She was just really like a jerk. This one immediately, she's like you have this thing in your head that can kind of give you some like really minor telepathic abilities, and it's like telling you how she feels, and she's like, she hates you because you're a Gith, and she's like, I hate you because you're a Gith, get away from me. And your options are like, technically I can't persuade her, but you have to roll like a perfect score. Like at that level without the proper bonuses, you're really not likely to do that. So unless you're save scumming over and over again, she's gonna run away or attack you. Like those are pretty much your only options. So I thought that was interesting. I picked a race like as a joke. I picked this race as a joke, and it had significant consequences immediately. So that was cool.
I ran into that too, and I'm gonna try not to get too spoilery, and because just in case somebody plays it. But I picked a drow because I was like, I don't want to be human. Like I don't want to be an elf. I don't want to be anything I've ever been. So I picked a drow, and I didn't realize that was a hated race in like the D&D universe. So, yeah. And so when I was trying to get into this goblin camp, they just let me in. Like I didn't. They were just like, yep, good to see you. And I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, drow are historically very, very evil and very, very reviled.
See, and for some reason that was lost on me through all the time that I've played D&D with you guys, and we played it growing up, and I did actually like read those player handbooks back then and everything, and that was lost on me. So it was hilarious because I was walking around the universe and everyone was like, oh man, that goblin camp, it's going to be tough cookie to crack. And I just walk up in there like everything's cool.
Can't wait to see how it goes for me. Because I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it on either character. So, well, that's not true. I came across it, but I could tell they were waiting in ambush for me. So I went around it to do something else, and then I lost an eye. Oh well. Oh well. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Drink break? All right, we're back, and we're ready for our topic of the week. We're going to blast through this, though, because we just decided we're going to play a little Cyberpunk on a Dixper session. So let's go ahead and get through this. Jason, give me a little story about a conversation you and your friends had. Okay,
so yesterday, Tyler and I were trying to decide what we were going to play that night. And we said, well, maybe Matt wants to join us for Rocket League. And so we texted Matt, and he said he was busy, which is BS because who's got plans on a Wednesday? But that's neither here nor there. He also asked us in that same conversation, like, why don't we ever play adventure games anymore? Like, why don't we ever play adventure games together? And the easy answer to that is because Matt only has a Nintendo Switch, and so like that would be the hardest platform to try to play an adventure game together. Secondly, I said, well, Tyler doesn't like adventure games, and Tyler was like, yeah, I do. You name some adventure games, and then I froze. I was like, what? In 2020, what's an adventure game? So, I was torn between the classical definition of it and you and I kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but like Monkey's Island and those kind of more Double Fine point and click sort of things, which still kind of exist in a form, but then you also kind of have action adventure when I think Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn. And you told me I was a little bit maybe off base. So talk me through this. Like, what is your definition of this genre and what's its place in 2020?
I mean, we'll start with what's its place in 2020, and it's a dying genre. I still think it's alive and not well, but it is like people are remaking these games all the time. Like Monkey's Island and King's Quest get like remasters and ports still to this day. Those kinds of games, those really boring point and click, sometimes first person, sometimes not. And so like while those games still exist and continue to like pop up in new versions or just brand new IP, I think it's hard to say that you can't take away its title, because now what is that called? Just point and click? I mean, you could, but they've always been adventure games, so why can't they still be adventure games? Especially when you have the additional adjective of action adventure to describe something, pretty much anything, third person, because I always feel like that's implied, but sometimes you can say third person action adventure to talk about something like a Zelda. And some people are like, oh, that's too vague, but I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think you have to be like, and I know some genres get incredibly descriptive with just the word, like Metroidvania paints a picture, but that's like the only one Like people say RPG, I'm like, that can mean anything.
Looter shooter.
Looter shooter's pretty descriptive, but even that has a lot of room. Like that's more of a progression description. Like that describes how you'll be spending your time over the next 3 years, rather than describing the game.
What are the characteristics do you feel of an adventure game then? What are the things that an adventure game has to have? Like, is Breath of the Wild an adventure game? Does it have to be third person, or is it action adventure? I suppose. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I would think that adventure game has to have the core components that adventure games have always had, and that's a narratively rich story. Like, there's a lot going on the story side. A lot of agency to a degree. Like maybe not like story choices, but like for the most part, you get to just walk around, and there's going to be railroad, or you're going to be railroaded here and there, and there's going to be roadblocks sometimes as you have to solve a puzzle, or you have to hit this story beat before you can go on to the next part. But a big thing of those is like you get this little mini sandbox, and you get to walk around and just talk to people and poke stuff. And yes, the main method of gameplay is pointing and clicking. There's usually sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so, okay, I do kind of see where the action adventure comes into play, though, the hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
How much agency do you need for an action adventure game?
None. It's not a requirement.
Okay.
You usually do have some. Most good games have a form of agency, especially in the 3D era, which we've been in for 20 years now.
Right. So let me ask you this. Do you think maybe the evolution of adventure game is something like to me, I think, Detroit Become Human a little bit. Yeah,
basically not co-optive. Co-op might not be the right word, but maybe evolution, like you said, could be better. Basically that adventure game, walking sim, and then whatever you do call something like a Detroit Become Human, because that's not Media Molecule. Who makes those?
Why do you put me on a spot like this?
Because I need you to be my brain when I can't be. Anyway, that studio, let's say David Cage, the developer behind, the producer behind
Quantic Dream.
Is it Quantic Dream?
Yeah, I just Googled it.
All right, Quantic Dream. All of their games have always been like those games, like going all the way back to Indigo Prophecy. Again, very narrative heavy, very explorative. Lots of sometimes an inventory where you just kind of have these random things and you're and they've always been like that. They've always been they're kind of offshoot, but I would lump them in and that's why I say it's not necessarily dead, because we do have these kind of evolutions with Telltale games and your Fireflight, something. Anyway, walking sims, basically. What Remains of Edith Finch and all that stuff.
Man, this is opening up all these questions in my mind, because when I think of an adventure game, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but do you remember that old PC game where you're on the Titanic and you have to solve a murder mystery?
Never played it.
Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Hold on. Titanic.
I played lots of Nancy Drew games.
Mystery game. It was called, oh geez, I gotta find the box. I used to play this with my mom, actually. Anyway, there was a game where you were kind of in first person. I don't think you really walked around. I think you just kind of clicked and would go to that area of the ship. Mm-hmm. And then you would kind of talk to people, gather clues, look at little thises and that's, piece it all together. And then you kind of had that next piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I think about when I think about, because adventure games.
Yeah.
And then when I say what's the 2020 corollary, I think of something like Outer Worlds.
No,
where no, that you don't think that the dialogue aspects of that are adventure game based at all. Because I do, because I remember that in Monkey Island. You go into the bar, you have to trick the guy into thinking you're somebody you're not, so he gives you a key so you can go to this other place. And then it's very much kind of in the vein of what you do in the Outer Worlds in the dialogue
that's
portion.
just one thing that you do in both games, though. That I wouldn't even call it derivative of the other, or inspired by adventure games. Because adventure games weren't the first kind of game you could make or play that had a story, rather. what you're just describing is a game that has a story. Like,
but yes, but within the story, like you said, you have agency, you have choice, your decisions make.
And I also said that pretty much describes every game in the last like 25 years.
I disagree. I disagree because, like I said, I think the your actions having true consequences to me is like part of it. But I could be totally off base.
Genres have to mean something. And sometimes there's overlap and sometimes it's nonsensical. But genres have to mean something. And sometimes the decision of what a genre is, you have no control over it. The consensus is made by the society of gamers, basically. And like sometimes people just, not saying you in this case, but like sometimes people just don't agree with that. No, that's fine, but you're wrong by majority vote. Like,
sure.
I don't care if you don't agree. That's how people view it. Like, and yeah, it just doesn't make sense sometimes, but that's how it is. Like, an action adventure game is a broad, and most genres are broad categories. They should be broad because genres like music genres sometimes get so stupidly granular.
Right.
Like the gazillion different kinds of metal there are. I'm like, what? Stop it. It's metal.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
disco funk pop metal though,
disco funk pop, crabcore, alt rock. Gosh.
No, I agree with you. I totally do. And to be honest with you, I highly doubt that the first question that goes through a developer's mind is like, "Oh, what genre do I want to make?" I mean, that kind of comes after the fact. It's kind of just more of a marketing thing than anything of like, oh, if you like this, you might like that. And it's kind of like this. So,
and is a genre just its gameplay, or is the genre I just had the word a moment ago and I forgot it, but is the genre more than just the gameplay, I guess? Like, is it only the gameplay, or is there something more to a genre that defines it? Or a game that defines its genre, I should say.
Right. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like my gut wants to say it's the whole package is the genre.
And I agree.
Like
and that's why
package.
That's why I get irritated when people are like, "Oh, it's got Metroidvania qualities." I'm like, "No. That's not how that works." Because Metroidvania has X genre qualities as well, but that's not how we describe that game. We describe it as a Metroidvania because when you, like you just said, when you put all these pieces together in this package, the end result is something that we've all come to know and understand as a Metroidvania. You can't tell me Zelda has Metroidvania qualities because Zelda's been doing that since before Metroidvania was a thing. It's got Zelda qualities, which is almost its own genre.
Sure.
Anyway, you didn't put this question here. You got a couple more questions, and they're good ones, but what is your least favorite like genre? And I wouldn't have a least favorite one. That would be my sticking point. That would be my additional gaming gripe is when people throw about Metroidvania incorrectly.
Yeah, that seems to bother a lot of people.
RPG used to bother me too, but I gave that one.
Of the genre, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
as much. I'm not a purist, and
what is your favorite genre, Jason?
Oh my gosh. I know I wrote that question, but I didn't think about the answer.
I don't have one.
Yeah, I don't know that I do either. It used
to be JRPGs.
That makes sense. I don't know. For me, it's more of like I hate to give, it's a nuanced thing. I mean, it's a case by case. It's a game by game. I don't necessarily gravitate towards any one genre. I guess third person action adventure with RPG elements that's got a narrative and
you like closed world, which is an open world that has definition to it.
Yes.
You don't. I mean, you do like your open world games too. Everybody does to an extent. Like, you're a huge fan of Skyrim, obviously, and that doesn't get more open than Skyrim for the most part. But these days, you're not finishing Skyrim to completion. That's never happening.
Right, exactly.
So you want something a little smaller.
Like the Outer Worlds.
Can't go one episode without talking about it.
I know.
It's a good game, though. People should play it if you haven't.
Totally.
And it's witty and it's fun and it's easy if you turn the difficulty down and you can kill everything in one shot.
So do you want to answer that question at all, or your answer is just you have no...
I mean, I don't have a favorite one anymore. There once upon a time it was JRPGs, and then that industry stagnated hard around I want to say like the late 2000s up until still today. Really, like I feel like there's an identity crisis that they're kind of pushing through, and you've kind of seen like what's come out of that. You've got games like the more modern Final Fantasies. You've got your really classic but kind of cheap turn-based JRPG style, even if it's not Japanese specifically, games. And most of those are usually indies. And then you have a lot of action JRPGs, which I think is somewhat newish. And that can range anything from like, that's like your Devil May Cry's kind of, which I know have been around a while, but you have a lot more of those. Your Kingdom Hearts, your, I had another example just now. So, but I long for the days of like my Final Fantasy 8s and 7s and 9s and even 10. Like they just don't, the people who make those style games don't have the budget or the skill or the storytelling chops to make them good. And so they're always these kind of like just cheap imitations.
Isn't the new Yakuza supposed to be turn-based?
It is turn-based, and I'm very interested in playing that, partially because it's turn-based, but mostly because I've always wanted to play a Yakuza game, but the story, like I wanted to start at the beginning, and there's like 6 other games after that. This one kind of is like its own break, and in the sense that they're even calling it Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's technically 7, but they've got that subtitle that tries to keep it kind of like they did with The Witcher Wild Hunt. It was technically Witcher 3, but they called it The Wild Hunt so that people were like, where's 1 and 2?
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then just real quick, my other favorite genre up and coming the last couple of years has been platformers. Hard platformers. Like not stupid hard, but like just really challenging platformers just have really scratched an itch I didn't know I had. In Celeste.
That's a really good point. I totally forgot. I mean, we kind of like, we love that. I mean, the Celeste, obviously, the Messenger, kind of in a way, Katana's Zero.
I was just thinking about that game the other day. I was like, man, that was a really good game. I wouldn't mind playing it again because it was so short. Like,
yeah,
I want to see how much of that story was, because that was a trippy story, and there were parts where like you can get game overs like in the middle of the game, you know, but not just like a regular game over where like you die, but where you make a couple story decisions and the game just ends. Because that's how the story plays out. But yeah, it was fun. Nice and short, platformy-esque, side-scrolling, for sure. I was going to say one more.
We could be here all night with this.
Oh, yeah, and I promise this is the last part. Roguelikes. I was quickly growing to them, but there's so many. Like, there's another thing that both indies and non-indies can make, and there's been a lot of them. And Hades might have ruined them all for me. I don't know. Like, I was looking forward to, what's that one that's got its sequel? Oh, crap. What's it called? Everybody loves it. They love the original one. Night something?
Rogue Legacy?
Rogue Legacy, thank you. I never played the original. I know the second one's, I think it's in alpha maybe. But I was interested in looking at that, checking it out, but now I just don't know if I can go back to any of them after Hades.
Well, they're different.
They are different, and yet at the same time, there's enough similarities that I'll pick it up. And I'm like, this, because of its differences, it's not like Hades. I'm like, I don't want to play it. I'll just be like, no.
Greg told me about a VR roguelike that I'm really interested in picking up. I don't remember what it's called. It's called like Till You Drop. VR. Until You Fall. That's what it's called. But anyway,
I got one more question. Yeah. What's the genre you wish you played more of?
What's a genre I wish I played more of?
I'll go first if you want to think about it.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to play more CRPGs. I want to play more Baldur's Gates. I want to go back and play I want to play the original 2 Fallouts, like, because that's what they are. They're CRPGs too, basically. A little bit different, with their heritage and all that, and not being about like, Dungeons and Dragons and magic and mystery, which most of those games do. But like, there's so many out there, and there's new ones. Like, I want more time to play Divinity: Original Sin 2 because I obviously like that game and I love that studio because I love Baldur's Gate 3. And I want to go back and play Dragon Age someday, but they're all so long. They're all like, those games are always so long, and they require so much of you. Like, my mind is like mush sometimes after I play those because I'm like, oh wow, that was a lot of thinking. I don't even think that much during video games. But yeah, that's
I love that answer.
You can
So I'm
pick
not gonna steal it. That'd probably be my answer if I sat here and I actually came up with a good answer.
Right.
I'm gonna go with real-time strategy.
That's a good one. Yeah, man, I missed that. I used to play a lot of that, and I don't play it anymore.
Because like Greg and I get really into those and like super competitive. So like I wish we had time to play Civ, but we just don't. Or there was this really cool VR game called Corix. That was a one-man studio that was exclusive to PSVR, but it was a lot of fun. And I think I've talked about it in the past on here. But yeah, games like that. I wish I had more time.
Cool. All right. Well, that was a good topic. I thought that was that was fun genre talk. Tell us, what's your favorite genre? What did we get wrong about the genres we just talked about? What do you wish you played more of? All right. Now let's get into some listener questions. I feel like we haven't done a listener question in a long time. And not only have we not done one in a long time, we have a question from longtime listener, other Patreon subscriber, Sean, give him his recipes. Josh himself wrote in, says, hey guys, sorry I've been without questions for a bit. That's okay. But I'm always still listening. This is 2 questions, but I feel like it's similar enough that I'm grouping them together. If you could be in any existing game you wanted, what game would it be? Second question, what game character do you feel you're closest to? Not who would you want to be? Which is a good distinction. Because a lot of time when people ask that kind of question, it immediately becomes wish fulfillment. So thank you for clarifying, Josh. All right, let's start with Game World because I think that's easier and more fun in my opinion.
Okay,
Jason, where do you want to live?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In the year of 2020, if I could be in any game, I feel like I would want to be in something super, super tranquil. So for this question, I'm going with Stardew Valley, the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure 2, or Astroneer, because I need something where time seems to pause and there are no expectations and there are no deadlines and there are no goals. And if I could live in that for just like a week, I could be refreshed and then maybe continue just to power through the rest of my life, What about you?
Those are good answers. I'm not going to live in Stardew Valley because there's actually a war going on in that world. So have fun with that.
Jeez.
It's not happening in that village, but it is happening. There's like some empire fighting the country that you live in. It's weird. Like it's a weird backdrop. No, my answer is easily Flower Bud Village from Harvest Moon 64. There is nothing more tranquil. There is nothing more peaceful than that little game and the people within it and the town that they live in. Follow-up answer would be I want to go to Dinosaur Land in Super Mario World because that looks like fun.
Ooh.
Like I want to go on vacation just like Mario and Luigi and Peach did, and I want to hang out and no one's going to try to steal me. And I'm not going to go try to like fight the dinosaurs. I'm going to hang out with the Yoshis, man. Yoshis.
That does sound pretty cool.
Like
It's pretty chill.
That dinosaur and I'll punch him in the back of the head so he'll stick his tongue out.
I do that to my dog.
Exactly. Toby. Poof.
Boom.
So what else? Do I have one more? Maybe one slightly more dangerous. What have I played recently? I don't want to live in Ghost of Tsushima. I don't want to be some slave to the Mongols. That sounds bad.
No, not because within this question, I'm envisioning like I'm not the protagonist. I'm just like a person in this universe.
Oh, that was right. That was the other one I mentioned earlier when we were going over this. I want to live in the Ratchet and Clank universe, but I don't want to be some goofy alien because the goofy aliens get the massive amounts of violence done to them. I just want to be like a competent person because competent people seem to go pretty far in that world. But it looks fun. It looks like, aside from some of the weird like universe-ending stuff that kind of happens in every game, it also at the same time has this feeling of like a utopia. Like everybody kind of has everything under control, and aside from the one evil scientist who decides he's going to buck the trend, everyone's having a good time as long as you don't live in those seedier parts, which is a lot like we were watching Lilo and Stitch earlier. Juliet was, and like the alien Federation, like aside from the fact that humans are just completely oblivious to it, these aliens seem to have like intergalactic peace just nailed down. Like they have their rules and no one ever breaks them again except for the mad scientist who went and created Stitch. Like he's the only rebel rouser in the entire galaxy.
Well, no, they have that whole jail of villains though,
They do. Obviously that's not exactly the case, but they're so efficient and their rules are so well kept that like it seems like a pretty cool place to live as long as you're not swept up in the main plot of the protagonist.
Sure. I love the ending of that movie. I watched it for the first time with Luke a couple weeks ago.
Lilo and Stitch is a phenomenal film, and
it is.
Like I have no gripes against it. It's just a little. I say this in the nicest way possible. It's low budget, even for like a Disney movie, like a mainline Disney movie. It's rough on purpose, but also potentially not on purpose. So
yeah, the production value seems like it could if it just could be like just a little more.
Yeah, but it's a heartbreaking story. It tugs at my strings for sure.
Also, well, in reference to the ending on a lighter note, where spoilers for Lilo and Stitch if you haven't seen it, where the CIA agent dude's like, yeah, I once convinced an alien that mosquitoes were an endangered intergalactic species. And it's like the only reason those aliens leave Earth alone. Pretty amazing.
That was at the end of that one?
That was at the end of it, yeah.
I must have missed that bit. Because I do like where it turns out that like the lead alien lady, like she's like, Juliet was calling her the queen, but she wasn't the queen. She was just like part of the council or whatever. She's like deciding Stitch's fate right then and there.
Yes.
And he's convincing her about, oh, that's right. Like Lilo holds up the papers like, I own him. I bought him at the pet store. Like you'd be breaking the law if you took my like rightful property away, basically. And he's like, aliens love their rules. And she's like, you look familiar. And he's like, 1973, Roswell, CIA. It's like, oh, that's right. You had hair then. It's like, oh, that's a cute little thing.
Yeah. So then after they leave, that's when he says it. I once convinced. Yeah. Anyway.
I must have put the headphones back on or something. But no, it's a great movie. I love it. Don't want to live there, though.
No. So, okay, what do you feel like your life is closest to?
Well, he said a character.
Oh, character?
Character do you feel closest to? I don't know if I could pick one because there aren't a lot of video game characters outside of stupid NPCs who are just stupid doofuses like we are.
I said so my answer still kind of works. It's not really a character. I misinterpreted and I thought the question was like what game? I didn't read character, just like what game do you feel like your life is closest to? I'm going to go with Overcooked, where just the orders keep coming and they keep coming and they keep coming and you better keep up, but you're definitely not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Or The Sims.
It is. Mine is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That's the closest my life is to.
I did once say that I felt like I was Mario because I was just average at everything.
It's true. That was a funny joke. I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let me give you 2 seconds. 1, 2.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to think of a game character that I'm similar to appease Josh before he takes his Patreon subscription away.
You said Mario.
No, I didn't
versus
say Mario.
Rabbids.
That was a joke.
Well, it didn't even make sense.
That's why it was one of those kinds of jokes.
Oh. The kinds of jokes I have to edit out.
Don't edit out my joke. All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay, Daddy-O. We're going to hop off here and play some Cyberpunk. You Cyberpunks have a fantastic week. You lovely NFers. We will try, but we are never free to play. Okay, I'm not going to do a drink break. Let's just go.
Oh, I see. Okay. You sure?
What? I mean, yeah, because it's going to take me 4 minutes to make coffee. We might as well just do that when we boot it up.
That's true. All right.
Let's jump in.
All right, topic of the week. What's an adventure game? Far Cry 5 an adventure game?